This video will contain spoilers to the following movies.
What the heck?
I can explain.
I don't even want to hear about it. I can smell another girl's perfume in here. And on your nightstand, I can totally see that picture with you and her, kissing at the fancy restaurant.
That was a date, from about 10 years ago.
Surely there'd be a difference in age in that photo.
Oh, well, I can explain.
You have done enough damage right there. I'm out of this house.
I'm sure we've all seen the type of movies where in order to accomplish their goal, the protagonist will have to disguise themselves as somebody else or tell lies about themselves, but then eventually their secret will get discovered in some fashion and it momentarily works against them. I've had this topic in mind for a little while, but the film that pushed me to do it was Mrs. Doubtfire. If you don't know what that film is, basically Robin Williams plays a divorced father who can only spend every Saturday with his children. He works his way around it by disguising himself as a British nanny and applying for the housekeeping job at his ex-wife's house. I'm sure you know what else. The children grow fond of him until in some fashion his secret gets out. It seems as though everything's hopeless for him, but then it all works out. That film came out in the 90s though. A more recent example would be Tom and Jerry 2021, the live-action cartoon mix that is very much less than stellar. For a film with the Tom and Jerry name, it doesn't have a lot of focus on Tom and Jerry. Instead, Chloe Grace Moretz plays a young lady that applies for a job at a hotel with a stolen resume. Her boss soon finds out about it halfway through, but it doesn't lead to her losing her job until about 15 to 20 minutes before the credits. I was already not enthusiastic about the movie before that point, but when that happened, I just thought, couldn't the movie just end right there? Good thing I didn't have to use money to watch it when it first came out because I have HBO Max. One must never tell lies under the nose of Dolores Umbridge, or they will pay the price. In Order of the Phoenix, Harry and some friends of his hold meetings in the secret room of requirement under the name Dumbledore's Army. The High Inquisitor Professor Umbridge soon discovers their meetings along with her squad. And in order to keep Harry safe from unfair punishment once more, Dumbledore says that he himself had organized these meetings to work against Minister Fudge and escapes via his phoenix named Fawkes. So, a lie used to defend a liar. Now that's an interesting sight. Well, this falls more under secret than the liar, but just as predictable that it would be found out and used against the good guys. The thing about Harry Potter, as I'm sure you've noticed, is that it takes many different cliches, especially out of other fantasy stories, and places them in a way that makes it feel like something new. One of the most original things to come out of the franchise is a wizard school. A magic room that is usually sealed up is definitely something that would be used by the good guys for their benefit that would soon be exposed by the bad guys. All Dogs Go to Heaven is a film that surprises you with the protagonist lying. The relationship between Charlie and the orphaned Anne-Marie is very strong, and you feel that they really do care for each other. I mean, yeah, throughout the movie, Charlie does some bad things that Anne-Marie scolds him for, like using the money he earned for his casinos instead of for the poor like he promised. But what we didn't know was that we were not giving him enough credit. Before the finale, it is revealed that Charlie was being much more manipulative than we initially thought about keeping Anne-Marie around. And once he doesn't need her anymore, he was going to drop her off at an orphanage, which she soon overhears, leading to her capture by the villainous Carface. At the moment, I thought Charlie was about to fully redeem himself. But don't worry, he'll be a good boy and actually care for other lives besides his own. But often, those types of liar moments where the exact lie is not revealed to the audience until the end, like in All Dogs Go to Heaven, are done with the antagonist and not the protagonist, like in Coco. For a long while, we thought that Ernesto de la Cruz was the true great-great-grandfather of Miguel, until later we find out that he was a phony, first killing the true relative Hector, then performing his songs as though they were his own. This was something that nobody knew until Miguel was interrupted by Hector as he was being given his blessing to go back to the mortal world. Then the climax has the truth leaked to the other spirits and soon the mortal world. See, even the audience was fooled at the beginning. What happened, Ernesto? We thought you were cool. That right there is one of the most well-executed twists to come from recent cinema. The original Willy Wonka is an example of more than one lie revealed in both ways. In the novel this film was based on, there was only a mention of a forgery of one of the golden tickets. The film actually uses this to make Charlie lose hope because that was supposedly the last ticket. but then he hears the discovery of it being a forgery just as he was about to open up a chocolate bar and find the last ticket. This was only halfway through the movie, so it's not that effective. The moment that really gives us the edge is when Charlie and Grandpa Joe steal fizzy lifting drinks, which was not done in the book, and then we get the famous Gene Wilder outburst. "You get nothing! You lose! Good day, sir!" Charlie could have decided right there to give his gobstopper to Slugworth, but he decides to do the right thing and give it back to Wonka as an apology. See what comes out of being honest? Though the fizzy lifting drinks were in the book, but there was nothing about it that serves as a plot point, and the remake removes it altogether. I personally feel that the 71 version serves better in delivering a message to kids. I know that Dahl's idea of Charlie was that he was supposed to be the only well-behaved kid, thus the reason he inherits the factory at the end, but I don't really agree with how he displays it, because I personally feel that even well-behaved kids have one flaw or another, but I respect his thoughts. If you agree with Dahl, I'm fine with that. Going back to my argument about a villain's lies not being revealed until the end, that is very commonplace in a lot of mysteries. That doesn't make it bad. That's actually what mysteries are meant to do. You're meant to be surprised by the outcome of the mystery. My all-time favorite film, Charade, has a mystery element. If you haven't watched the film to the end, you would never have guessed that Carson Dial was first introduced as Hamilton Bartholomew. For most of the movie, you thought he was dead. But a shocking twist of events when Bartholomew lets out his secret near the end, then a gunfight between him and Cary Grant. Speaking of which, Cary Grant went under many pseudonyms throughout the feature. He starts off as Peter Joshua, then Alexander Dial, supposedly the brother of Carson Dial, but then it is discovered that Dial never had a brother, so now he's a thief named Adam Canfield. At the end of the movie, his real identity is revealed to be government official Brian Cruikshank, who was helping Reggie the whole time, and he proposes to her. Now they can name their children after Cary Grant's previous identities. If you haven't watched this movie, then I'm sorry I spoiled it for you. Clue is another example, which you probably expect since it's based on a whodunit board game. There are 3 different endings to this film, and when it first came out in the mid-80s, each theater played one of those 3 endings, and sometimes they tell you which ending you'd see by letter, A, B, or C. The VHS release had them all played, one after the other, with a text plate in between to transition. On Blu-ray and DVD, you can watch the film that way, or you can watch it as though you went to see it in the theater with a randomly selected ending. Either way, there's always a villain that is revealed at the end, the one responsible for the deaths of all 6 victims in the mansion, even if not directly for some of them. Both of Roger Gosnell's Scooby-Doo films have their focus on the mystery element. In the first film, we learn at the climax that Scrappy-Doo was the villain. How is it that lame? Not only was this not a good idea considering the characters they were based on, but it's kind of predictable, especially considering that he only appeared once before in a flashback scene, and the fact that he was kicked to the curb is all we needed to know. Then in the second movie, we get a flashback scene of the man who wore the pterodactyl costume. According to criminal files, he died trying to escape from prison. Well, let me tell you right now, that's a complete freaking lie. He's the evil masked figure, but to hide himself further, he also impersonated a female news journalist. Okay, that bit we didn't expect, but we did expect him to be the villain, so screw you, Gosnell. To conclude, let's talk on the subject of Big Hero 6, the surprise villain which actually caught me by surprise. Robert Callahan actually was set up to be a very nice guy. Alistair Cray was set up to be a narcissistic entrepreneur who pushes people to his will. It made sense that he would be the man in the mask. But then once the masked man drops his mask in that fight on the island, we sense a twist. It's Callahan. You know what? It makes more sense now. During that scene where Cray was offering for Hero to market his microbots, Callahan lets us know of this rivalry the two share. Seems like something small at first, but then we learn that he's seeking revenge for the supposed loss of his daughter. Guess we can also throw this movie on the revenge story list, am I right? We're always going to be watching movies where either we know that a character is lying and it is soon to be revealed, or there's a mystery with a twist. Whichever one you watch, if you're careful about it, you can handle it well. You can let it catch the viewer off guard. Do it poorly, and you're just going to look like you have nothing to hide. Is there any more movie moments like this that I missed? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.